Lowe's knows July 4th savings are worth celebrating. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Kenya National Human Rights Commission, KNHRC, has confirmed that 31 persons have already been pronounced dead by medical doctors attending to protesters who were attacked on Monday by Kenya's security operatives and armed militias when thousands of Kenya residents came out to stage a mass protest to mark this year's 7th anniversary, an event known as Saba-Saba Day that commemorates July 7, 1990, when Kenyans rose up to demand a return to multi-party democracy after years of autocratic rule by then-President Daniel Arap Moi. The united opposition leaders called on all Kenya citizens to declare President Williams Ruto government as an illegitimate regime that is an enemy of the people, hostile to the people, killing the people by thus boycotting all government functions and activities and delegitimize the government's businesses and actions, insisting 2027 is too far for Kenyans to wait before ending the presidency of Ruto. And in a swift reaction, President William Ruto on Wednesday visited Dagoretti Northern side of Nairobi to inspect the construction of 540 housing units project at Kilimani Police Station, and during the visit, the president addressed the nation and declared those are apparent protesters who attacked fellow Kenyans, police officers, security installations and businesses as terrorists, stressing, such acts are a declaration of war and he will never allow retrogressive elements who want to rise to power through shortcuts succeed. Opposition leaders on Tuesday accused the government of deploying unmarked police vehicles to transport armed gangs to perceived opposition strongholds during the protests. They called for a national boycott of all businesses affiliated with President Ruto's administration, accusing his government of deploying state-sponsored violence and extrajudicial killings on Kenyans. This regime is hostile. It cannot be reasoned with. It must be resisted. We will not rest. We will not retreat. We will not surrender, the opposition said in a joint statement. Jeffrey Rigathi Gachagua, one of the opposition leaders and former deputy president of Kenya, said, on the 7th of July 2025, the 35th anniversary of Saba-Saba, Kenyans took to the streets to protest. Unknown to the peaceful protesters, the tired regime of William Ruto had a well-organized, state-sponsored militia working in cohort with the police to maim, kill, destroy property, and blame it on the Kikuyu community. President Ruto's ICC cases are still ongoing and were paused after witnesses disappeared. It is clear that history is repeating itself. Ruto is hellbent on finishing his unfinished business with the Mount Kenya region. To President Ruto, I say this with a lot of humility. Please stop being angry. The people of Kenya are far more angry than you are. If you truly want this to end, then restore the dignity of the payslip. When the middle class can breathe, they will create jobs for our young people. Stop the abductions, stop the extrajudicial killings. And if you want this to end, disband the killer squad. According to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, KNHRC, the commission is still actively monitoring and following up on all reports and incidences related to the 7th of July 2025 Saba-Saba demonstrations across the country. Below is a general update of the human rights violations documented by KNCHR as of today, the 8th of July 2025 at 1900 hours. Deaths, 31. Injuries, 107. Enforced disappearances, 2. Arrests, 532. Destruction of property, value unknown. The KNCHR strongly condemns all human rights violations and urge accountability from all responsible parties, including police, civilians and all other stakeholders. We once again send our message of condolence to those who lost their loved ones and wish a quick recovery to those nursing injuries. The KNCHR calls upon anyone with information and human rights concerns relating to the demonstrations to share it through SMS 22359, Email complaint at knchr.org and toll-free line 08007200627, stated as signed by Dr. Raymond N.Y. Eras, Ph.D., Vice Chairperson, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR. Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, in a video post on Monday had stated that law enforcement officers have killed at least 9 protesters during Saba-Saba demonstrations held across 24 counties. The actual death toll is likely higher. Given the nationwide scale of the protests, it will take time to verify and compile the final numbers of arrests and injuries. Press briefing notes issued by the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights as made available via the UN website on Tuesday. The spokesperson for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ravina Shamdasani, said, "We are deeply troubled by the killings yesterday of at least 10 people, as well as looting and destruction of property in Kenya as police and other security forces responded to violent protests in the capital Nairobi and at least 16 other counties. Lethal ammunition, rubber bullets, tear gas, and water cannons were used. Police have reported that at least 11 people were killed, 52 police officers injured, and that 567 arrests were made." The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights reported at least 10 fatalities, 29 injuries, 37 arrests and 2 abductions. "We have also received reports of looting and damage to public and private property by unidentified individuals in multiple locations. It is very concerning that these latest incidents come barely 2 weeks after 15 protesters were reportedly killed and many more injured in Nairobi and other parts of Kenya on the 25th of June. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk renews his call for calm and restraint, and full respect for the freedoms of expression, association and peaceful assembly. It is essential that legitimate grievances at the root of these protests are addressed. We note that the police have announced an investigation into earlier incidents. The High Commissioner repeats his call for all reported killings and other alleged violations and abuses of international human rights law, including with respect to use of force, to be promptly, thoroughly, independently and transparently investigated. Those responsible must be held to account. Under international human rights law, intentional lethal force by law enforcement officers, including with firearms, should only be used when strictly necessary to protect life from an imminent threat. Our office stands ready to support the authorities in Kenya in addressing these challenges, including in the investigations." Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, had earlier on Monday published CCTV footage on its X social media handle that shows how goons stormed the Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, offices at 2:08 p.m. to disrupt a press conference by Kenyan mothers who were calling for an end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings ahead of Saba-Saba protests. At exactly 2:08 p.m. East Africa Time, EAT today, hired goons stormed our office, sent by the state to silence dissent. They violently disrupted a press conference by Kenyan mothers calling for an end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings targeting protesters ahead of Saba-Saba demonstrations. Saba-Saba has been marked annually as a symbol of resistance and civic courage in ongoing struggles. This was a calculated escalation in the campaign of intimidation by the William Ruto regime against the KHRC, following the extraordinary illegal rendition of our staff Martin Mavangina, and human rights defenders holding it accountable for gross human rights violations. We will not be silenced. The Constitution protects our right to protest and speak out. See you on the streets on Monday. State-sponsored militia attacked 2 journalists and stole a laptop and phones during a press conference by Kenyan mothers condemning arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings during protests. This CCTV footage clearly shows the individuals who took the items. We urge you to help identify the names. The Kenya Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, must act on this evidence, arrest and arraign the perpetrators, and ensure the immediate return of the stolen devices. Kenya President William Ruto on his verified X social media handle on Wednesday, tweeted and said, "Those who attack Kenyans, police offices, security installations and businesses are terrorists. Such criminal acts are a declaration of war. We will not allow our country to be destroyed by retrogressive elements that are seeking shortcuts to rise to power. Enough is enough." In Dagoretti North, Nairobi, assessed construction progress at the 540 housing units project at Kilimani Police Station. "We had reported last year that the Kenya Police Authority has redeployed all police personnel in Nakuru area within the country capital, Nairobi, following the discovery of dozens of bodies, mostly female, wrapped in rubbish bags and dumped into a sea of Nakuru slum, which is very close to one of the country's police stations. Kenyan police are often accused by rights groups of using excessive force and carrying out unlawful killings or running hit squads, but few have faced justice," AFP report ends in quote.
Public to treat this regime as a hostile regime. It's an enemy of the Constitution and of the people. It has declared war on the citizens of Kenya. And we, the people, must resist to be dragged into a state of anarchy. Enablers, financiers, and executors of this regime's violence will be held personally liable, both locally and internationally. The day of reckoning is coming. No badge, no title, and no political alliance will shield you from justice. This regime is now hostile. It cannot be reasoned with. It must be resisted. We will not rest. We will not retreat. We will not surrender until every drop of innocent blood is accounted for, until the oppressive weight of this regime is lifted off the shoulders of our people.
Mtu yeyote ambaye anaenda kupiga polisi, mtu yeyote anaenda kuvamia police station, that is a declaration of war in the Republic of Kenya. It is not acceptable. Sijui kama tunaelewana, my friends. No, enough is enough. Haiwezi kuendelea tena. I will protect property ya wananchi wa Kenya, maisha ya wananchi wa Kenya, biashara ya wananchi wa Kenya. It is the responsibility of the government of Kenya, which I lead, that is going to make sure hii vita ya kuharibu mali na kuchoma biashara ya watu itakoma. It must stop. Sijui kama tunaelewana. And we are going to use whatever means that is available to make sure that we stabilize the country. We cannot accept mayhem and anarchy to destroy the development we have in.
Forces who are connected, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Lowe's knows July 4th savings are worth celebrating. Right now, get up to 40% off select major appliances and get an additional 10% off 2 or more select major appliances. Plus, get 3 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. These deals are coming in hot. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/9. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.